New tonight at 10, the city of Hermantown facing more backlash tonight as the councilors passed a 4-1 to amend Hermantown's 2045 comprehensive plan, laying out the city's land use ordinance.
And Northern News Now's Ella Schoberl sat in on tonight's meeting. Ella, sounds like residents had a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's right. The amendment to the 2045 comprehensive plan would include an expansion on where urban development is permitted in the city. A change city leaders say would have been done regardless of the proposed Google data center. Yes MN hats were accompanied by no MN signs at Hermantown City Council Monday night, as members of Stop the Hermantown Data Center raised concerns on proposed amendments to the city's 2045 comprehensive plan.
These votes from the 5 city council members tonight will affect thousands of people.
Solway Township resident Peter Hafton and other SHDC members are questioning how the sewer and water facilities extension would affect their homes. Meanwhile, Yes MN, made up of building trade members, showed their support to city leaders.
As more time passes, we will see more facts come out about the specific project itself.
In a 4-1 vote Monday night, the city will amend its 2045 comprehensive plan to expand Hermantown's urban service boundary, or the designated area where urban development is permitted. The city says this is because its current USB doesn't match with WLSSD. With that amendment, the city says it aims to extend its sewer and water service to the Adolph neighborhood, a change Hermantown city leaders say would be done regardless of the presence of the proposed Google data center, leaving some with unanswered questions, including how it will impact the taxes of those in the expansion area.
What is the timeline for this? These are questions that have not been answered. Will all residents be forced to pay?
Despite opposition to the expansion, other residents say the changes are common sense.
As a resident, I also think expanding municipal water and sewer in a thoughtful way helps prepare the city for the future.
This is as Stop the Hermantown Data Center aims to have the city vacate from the comprehensive plan in its most recent lawsuit against Hermantown. They claim the city improperly changed zoning in the Adolph neighborhood. And after tonight's vote, the expansion will be submitted to WLSSD to make sure their plan mirrors Hermantown's. That update will be expected sometime this summer. Live in studio, Ella Schoberl, Northern News Now.